Welcome to Rubrics. This training will address the theory of using rubrics in a classroom setting, as well as best practices, including how to build an effective rubric. Let's start with rubric theory. Why use rubrics at all? This method states clear student goals or expectations using descriptive adjectives across increasing levels of performance. In doing so, evaluation becomes more objective and fair. This also reduces the amount of time it takes an instructor to evaluate performance because they are looking for specific criteria at specific levels in a systematic way. What does a strong rubric do? In essence, a rubric is a structured chart. It uses adjectives that describe specific tasks. These tasks are separated out so an evaluator can focus on a small part rather than juggling multiple tasks at once. Consider how much easier it would be to focus on just proper capitalization throughout a paper rather than catching all the capitalization, all the spelling, all the punctuation, and all the grammar mistakes at once. These rubric tasks should also be aligned with the course or module learning objectives because all activities within a course serve the purpose of supporting these objectives. If a rubric is clear, students should be able to pre-grade themselves on their performance and reach a similar conclusion as any evaluator. This calls back to the objectivity of evaluating. Typically, a strong rubric focuses on the evaluation of performance on a handful of specific tasks and describes them in ascending order of achievement. For example, bad to okay to great. This should result in a targeted feedback when a task is evaluated as lower performing, but the other tasks were higher performing. How should a strong rubric be set up? First, identify the specific tasks that are important to the performance and support the course or module learning objectives. To keep a rubric from becoming unwieldy, a best practice is to keep categories to a small handful. It's easiest to begin with writing a clear task description that applies to the best or top performing level simply because this is what an instructor is envisioning as a best case scenario. Then it becomes easier to work down to less proficient levels by swapping out adjectives and numerical values. In this example of the criterion spelling and grammar, the best performance level uses the phrase no errors and awards full points. The next level down specifies 1 to 3 errors, while the other levels use 4 to 5 errors or more than 5 errors. By using such specifications between levels, there's no subjective grading, and thus it makes it far more consistent and fair when grading multiple performers. A note about numerical versus analytical rubrics. There are technically different types of rubrics that have different applications. A numerical rubric uses specific number points for tasks, just like the examples shown so far. These become a cumulative total that is converted into a traditional grading scale. Therefore, numerical rubrics are required in a learning management system like Sakai if an assignment with a rubric is attached to a gradebook item. The other rubric type is analytical and is generally used for overall feedback and improvement, where a numerical score is unnecessary. How many points should a level be? A best practice is to keep it simple. If you always have a bottom level of 0 for a criterion that is missing completely, and a top level that is not missing anything, then it makes it easier to write clear task levels that fall in between. Points between task levels should be small so that an evaluator can justify a rank. Consider this. If an unacceptable level is given a range of 0 to 5, how do you determine points at all? If a performer was missing something, would they get a 0 or a 1 or 5? If rubric tasks are built like this, a performer could have a submission that's missing everything important and still receive points. Therefore, a performer could add points to their numerical score for the course, but not hit any of the learning objectives, defeating the purpose of the assignment. Now a note about proficient and exemplary points in numerical rubrics. As with any assignment, instructors and students hope to achieve at least proficiency. But what about students who go above and beyond proficiency? This is where an additional task level can be added. In keeping clear, distinctive differences between task levels, an exemplary description should also be above and beyond a proficient description. Additional points for this advanced level are also added to the rubric, but the point ranges should still be kept simple and small between task levels so that a proficient student is not effectively docked possible points for not going above and beyond. For example, if a proficient task level is set to 5, while an exemplary task level is set to 10, then the exemplary student earns twice the points as a proficient student, even though a proficient student met a good standard. If all the rubrics in a course are set this way, the proficient student will finish with a much lower final grade than the exemplary student. For more information about Canvas rubrics, see the instructor guide. If you have questions or need help with rubrics, contact the Center for Teaching, Learning, and Online Education.